Today we talk about a really small game. What you see here is pretty much all that there is. The game comes in a paper envelope, which I promptly replaced and upgraded with a sandwich bag. Doesn't have a box. And it is a game set in the Old West, even though the theme is really immaterial here. The title, I love the title, which is what made me curious about this game. The title is This Town Ain't Big Enough for the 2 to 4 of Us. And this is, in essence, a Carcassonne variant. If you like Carcassonne, you know most of what you need to know here. But there are a couple of twists here that actually make the experience of playing this game different to some extent. This is the rule book. On this side you have the main rules of the game. And here in the back you have rules for 3 expansions that you find in this game. The expansions are here, pretty much just a bunch of counters and rules to use those counters to modify basic gameplay a little bit. Here you have a scoring board, and in here there are also little markers that you will use to keep track of the score of each player. The game, as the title says, plays for 2 to 4 players. Each player selects a color between pink, green, yellow, and blue, and you place the tile here, the claim office, in the middle of the table at the beginning of the game. Here you have a stack of other tiles which represent fences and different combinations, different structures, different designs of fences in combination with symbols of various colors. Gameplay is exceedingly simple and straightforward. When it is your turn, you draw a tile and you place it anywhere adjacent to one of the tiles that already are on the board. You can choose any orientation, and as long as it is orthogonally placed, you're good. You cannot, as in games of this type, do something like this. So, this is it. This is gameplay. But what are you trying to do as you're creating this beautiful landscape of the Old West here? You're trying to create corrals, to close corrals, that is to seal off areas with the fence, and to seal off areas with your symbols in them. Once an area is closed, once you form a full closed corral, the game is interrupted for a second just to score that. Scoring is pretty interesting. Is really what makes this game quite interesting. You count how many symbols each player has in each corral. For example, here we have 2 for pink and 1 for yellow. Then you rank the colors from the one with the most symbols in it to the lowest. In this case, we would have pink being first rank and yellow second rank. Then, and here's more complicated to say it, to explain it than it is in essence. Then each player scores a number of points which is equal to the number of symbols owned by the player in the rank below. What? I know, right? But luckily enough, in the rule book there is a quite clear explanation of what that means. Suppose we have an area where blue has 4 brands, green and pink have 2, and yellow has 1. So blue is first rank, green and pink are second rank, and then you have third rank. As you can see, each player scores a number of points equal to the number of brands of the players in the next rank. So first player scores 2, and these 2 players will score 1, and the player that is in last rank doesn't score anything because that would be just a 0 in the next rank. See how this works? This works. Now, what is interesting is that this has several important effects and implications. When you start playing the game, or you just look at the tiles, you think, oh, I'm just gonna amass as many of my brands as I can. But actually, it is not the number of brands that you have per se, and by itself that scores you points. You need to have more brands than the opponent. If you have a corral such as this one, or such as this one, It's closed, you get to score it, but you don't score a single point, because here blue has two brands, but there is no one else. That is, next rank would be 0. The same applies here. Pink has 2, no one else has brands in there. That is 0. In this case, we have pink player that scores 1 point, because that is the number of brands of the next player, and that poor player scores 0. As you can see, some tiles have a silver symbol. When you manage to close a corral around a silver symbol, then you get a special action which allows you to take any one tile from the board and to place it anywhere else adjacent to the main area. However, you cannot remove a tile that is part of a corral that has already been sealed. So in this case, this tile could not be removed using the silver effect, because part of the tile is part of a completed corral. This one doesn't have any completed corrals, so it could be removed with the silver effect and placed somewhere else on the board, say, like this. Then, using the expansions, you have various variants. You may use an expansion that gives you a token that allows you to suppress a brand of an opponent. Another expansion allows you to place a token which counts as an extra brand, this kind of thing. But this is in essence the game. Players alternate drawing tiles and placing them adjacent to one another to form the board of the game. They score corrals, they occasionally move tiles around, and at the end of the game, which is when the deck of tiles is over, the player with the most victory points is the winner of the game. This town ain't big enough for the 2 to 4 of us. Clearly is a variant on the idea of Carcassonne. Did we need a variant? Why not? This is a good variant. It has the advantage over Carcassonne to be much more portable, even though you assume if you throw all the tiles in a baggie, you can carry around Carcassonne more easily than if you carry the box. But objectively, this game is much smaller. I also think and feel that it is much easier to teach. It is much more intuitive because there is only one way of scoring points. You do not have different meeples that do different things. You simply have the action of drawing a tile, placing it. And yet there are interesting decisions there. Clearly it is a bit of a thinking game, it is a bit of a puzzle game, potentially, but I don't think it's a big, considerable danger. There could be analysis paralysis. You could have a player that draws a tile, keeps it like this, so you have no idea what that is, and just stares at the board for a while. Even if the player is just holding the tile in such a position that you can see it, you already participate to the puzzle, try to figure out where that tile can go, and you're entertained that way. But frankly, in each moment you will have only some options to choose from. When corrals start getting close, certain options are not available. I don't think that unless you're playing with some seriously OCD opponent, you will have the problem that the game takes too long or moves too slowly. I like it very much as a two-player game, but actually this is the only way in which I played it. I do not know that it scales so that well, not so much because of the pace of the game. As I said, I don't think there's going to be a problem of too much downtime. I wonder though about the number of actions that you have, because if you divide the deck of tiles by a larger amount of players, then you have a smaller amount of tiles for each player, and I wonder if that is gonna make you feel like the game doesn't last much and you didn't get to play much, you didn't have many options. With two players, you see the board growing and you do have a lot of chances of pushing your own objectives, try to seal off corrals of the opponents when that scores them absolutely nothing or almost nothing, and try to build a good engine in which you're likely to be able to score some big points. On the other hand, if you take your sweet time to build a big corral, so it's open for a while before you can close it, then may score you a ton of points if you do close it. But what if you don't? What if you simply don't get the right tiles, or the opponent gets a silver? Then tiles that are part of completely open corrals can still be moved away
and that can throw a stick in your best laid plans, can throw a wrench in your wheels. I don't remember what the expression really is. Something like that. Can throw a monkey in your engine. This is the idea. The idea is that this is a small Carcassonne type game, so if you like Carcassonne, I don't think that you would really dislike this game. The point is that, but if you like Carcassonne, why would you want to add this game to your collection? Because it's pretty cheap. I don't remember the exact price, but I know it was considerably less than $10. It's very portable. It's great for a break. If you have a lunch break, it's a perfect filler because you can just set it up, teach it, play it, and put it away so easily. It is very portable. Just as an alternative to traditional Carcassonne, something that requires a fraction of the time and, say, the energy to play without really sacrificing much, or I would say any, of the fun, because frankly I can't say that I like Carcassonne better than this one. They're similar enough. I enjoy them both in different ways, and I'm happy to have an option to play Carcassonne in a more elastic, fluid, say eclectic way, a way in which I can just take out the game, play it quickly, easily, as a quick filler, which doesn't exactly work for Carcassonne. This town ain't big enough for the 2 to 4 of us. It's a good game. Very simple, very small, little filler, but as a filler, nice little game.